Welcome to Whisper of Lights. Tonight, you are not just listening to a story, you are stepping into a quiet journey between time and imagination. Before you fall asleep, follow a mysterious train that arrives before tomorrow and discover what waits beyond the choices you never made. Close your eyes, breathe slowly, and listen gently. The story is about to begin. On the night everything felt slightly out of place, Clara noticed something strange in the air. It wasn't cold yet it felt like time itself had cooled down. The street lights flickered once, then held their breath. Clara stopped walking without knowing why. Something had changed, not around her, but in the way the world felt. A faint sound drifted through the silence, like metal moving through a memory. Clara turned her head slowly. There never no trains here. There never had been. At least that's everyone believed. The sound came again, closer this time, and then it stopped as if it had never existed. Clara exhaled slowly. That's when she saw it. Something on the ground near the edge of the road. A small object reflecting the street light. Clara bent down carefully. It wasn't just paper, it was a ticket. Old, yet impossibly well preserved. Silver lines moved across its edges like frozen light. Clara frowned slightly. Letters were written across the center. Not in any language she knew, and yet she could read them, as if her mind had already learned them. The midnight line. Clara felt a strange pressure in her chest. Not fear, not excitement. Something in between. She turned the ticket over. There was a time written on it. 11:59 p.m. But where the date should have been, there was only emptiness. Clara stared at it longer than she should have, and for a moment she understood something without understanding it. This ticket was not for a place, it was for a moment. Far away, the sound returned again. A train whistle, lying low, almost like it was calling her name. Clara looked up slowly, and somewhere beyond the edge of the night, she saw a faint line of light moving, approaching, like something that had been late for a very long time. And they still knew exactly where it was going. Clara kept staring at the thin line of light in the distance. It was not moving like a normal object. It felt more like it was unfolding into reality. The ticket in her hand grew slightly warm again. 11:59 p.m. Still no date. Clara swallowed hard and took a step forward. The ground beneath her feet changed texture. As if the road was no longer sure it was a road. Another step. Then suddenly the world bent. Not visually at first, but in sound. Everything went silent in a deeper way than silence. And then she was standing somewhere else. A platform, but not like any station she had ever seen. It was too still, too perfect, like it had been waiting longer than time itself. The sky above was dark but not empty. Faint light drifted like a slow moving thought. Clara turned slowly in place. There were no signs, no clock, no announcement speakers, only the platform and the silence. Then the whistle came again. This time it shook the air around her. Clara instinctively stepped back. But there was nowhere to go back to. The space behind her no longer felt like behind. A shape began forming at the edge of the platform. Metal first, then light, then movement without motion. The train was arriving, but it did not enter like something new. It entered like something returning. Clara felt her breath slow again. The train stopped without sound. No brakes, no impact, just arrival. A door opened in the middle carriage. Warm light spilled onto the platform again. Clara did not move. Something inside her was listening. Not to sound, but to meaning. A thought appeared again, clearer this time. You are not late. Clara's fingers tightened around the ticket. For a moment, she understood something terrifying. The train was not waiting for passengers. It was waiting for choices. Clara took one step toward the door. And the moment she did, the ticket stopped whirling like paper. It felt like a direction. A path she had already taken somewhere else. The train door remained open. waiting, patient, as if it knew she would choose it eventually. Clara stood at the open train door without moving. The warm light inside flickered gently. Not like electricity, like memory breathing. She should have stepped already, but something held her back. Not fear, something deeper, like recognition without memory. Then she heard footsteps, the carriage, slow, deliberate. Clara froze. She hadn't expected anyone to be there. The footsteps stopped just behind the doorway. A shadow appeared first, then a figure slowly stepped into the light. It was a man, not young, not old, somewhere in between time itself. He looked at Clara as if he had been waiting for her name more than her arrival. Clara swallowed. She began. But the man interrupted softly. You finally found it. Clara frowned. Found what? The man stepped closer. And then he said her name. Clara. Her entire body went still. Because he had said it like he already knew her. Not just her name, but her version of it. The version she had never spoken out loud. Clara took a step back. You know me? The man didn't answer immediately. He looked at the empty seat behind him. They're not empty, he said quietly. Clara looked inside the carriage again. Still empty. But now it felt less empty. Like something was almost there. The man leaned slightly closer. This train doesn't move through places, he said. Clara stayed silent. It moves through versions of you. A cold feeling spread through her chest. I don't understand, she whispered. The man nodded slowly. You're not supposed to yet. A long silence followed. Then Clara asked the only question she could. Where does this train go? The man looked at her for a long moment. And then he answered, nowhere. Clara blinked. That's not possible. The man shook his head slightly. It goes to every choice you didn't make. Clara felt the word tilt slightly. Inside the train, the empty seats flickered again. And for the first time, Clara wasn't sure which version of herself was standing there. Clara stood frozen in the doorway. Every choice you didn't make, the man's word echoed in her mind. She looked at the empty carriage again. But it didn't feel empty anymore. It felt full of invisible lives she had never lived. The man stepped aside slowly. "This is the last stop," he said softly. Clara frowned. "Last stop of what?" The man didn't answer immediately. Instead, he looked at her like someone looking at a memory about to disappear. "Tomorrow," he finally said. Clara felt a strange pressure in her chest. "That doesn't make sense," she whispered. The man nodded. "It only makes sense after you choose." A soft vibration moved through the train. The light dimmed slightly, as if the train was listening. Clara stepped inside. No one stopped her this time. The moment her foot touched the floor, everything changed. The windows lit up with moving scenes. Not outside, inside them. Thus saw herself living in a city she had never visited. She saw herself leaving a door she never opened in real life. She saw herself staying and living and becoming someone else each time. Clara backed away in shock. "This isn't real," she whispered. The man spoke gently. "It is more real than what you call real." The train gave a long, soft sound, like a breath finally released. Clara suddenly understood. This train wasn't taking her forward. It was showing her what forward could become. The man stepped toward the exit. Every version of you is waiting, he said. Clara turned sharply. Which one is the real me? She asked. The man paused. Then he answered softly, the one who chooses to stay on this train. Silence fell again. Clara looked at the glowing windows one last time. All her possible lives were still there. Waiting, not forcing. Just waiting to be chosen. Clara took a slow breath and they smiled faintly. Not because she understood everything, but because she understood enough. The train doors began to close. Slowly, like the end of a thought. Clara did not step out. The man nodded once, as if he already knew. The doors closed, and the train began to move without moving. Outside the windows, time unfolded in quiet layers, and somewhere far away, a version of Clara finally woke up in a tomorrow she had chosen. Thank you for listening to the Whisper of Light. If you are still awake, let your thoughts drift gently into the night. The train has gone, but somewhere another version of this story is still unfolding. Sleep peacefully, and perhaps tomorrow will feel a little different. Until next time, good night.